The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Let's go! What's that? Game time! It's gonna be a football game tonight now. No doubt. It's gonna be a football game here. Okay. I done been here before. All right, let's go, baby.
9. Rushing 4, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground, and it's still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line. Vaughn Miller did it again.
Alabama back on top of the college football world.
Ladies and gentlemen, football to the max.
Your host, Sean Garmer, Gary Vaughn, and Randy Isbell.
Hello and welcome to another Football to the Max. I'm your host, Sean Garmer, and with me here, Mr. Randy Isbell. What's up, Randy?
Oh, not much. Coming down from a high-scoring, fun fantasy football, Thursday night football game that just killed me in fantasy, that's for sure.
Yes, Matt Ryan, 4 touchdowns.
Yes,
and
thanks a lot.
Yeah, 370 yards. Gary is not here. He had to get up early, about like 5 a.m. to be exact, to help his wife. She works at a wedding planning company, and he helps her do that. So it'll just be Randy and I doing this here today. So we're going to talk about this TNF game. It was close for a while, then Falcons just kind of pulled away. And then we'll talk about Richard Sherman says that this is the no fun league for sure, and that's why the ratings are down. We're going to take our stab at why the ratings are down, and then we'll get into the rest of the action for Sunday and Monday. If you had Mike Evans, though, you had some great day in fantasy football. 11 receptions, 150 yards, a tremendous catch for one of the touchdowns, 2 touchdowns to be exact. So yeah, I mean, like you said, this is a great fantasy game. But if you're Tampa Bay, I think you wanted to put forth a better effort than you did.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, the first half was very interesting. Tampa Bay being able to go toe-to-toe with Atlanta. Both teams had some crucial fumbles early on that led to points. It looked like Tampa Bay had kind of figured things out, stopping to Atlanta to a couple of field goals while they were turning their drives into touchdowns to keep them in it. And then the second half happened, and Atlanta continued to roll while Tampa Bay struggled, and it just kind of showed that Tampa Bay's defense just was no match for this high-powered offense. And Matt Ryan, 4 touchdowns here in this game, continues to put himself in that conversation for the MVP, as Atlanta has basically taken a stranglehold on this division. We will see if they're able to finish it out, unlike they were able to last year when they went toe-to-toe with Carolina and then just fell off the map. But so far, so good. This offense is so quick and so strong and so tall. They have so many weapons and a great quarterback to boot that they just go out there to try to outscore you.
Yeah, I mean, he threw, the touchdown to Levine Toledo. He threw a touchdown to Austin Hooper, one to Julio Jones, and one to Patrick DeMarco as well. I mean, just he was throwing it around. Yeah, I mean, Julio Jones went over 100 yards as well. Devontae Freeman still had a decent day. He got almost 80 yards rushing, but this was all about Matt Ryan doing his thing as he's done all year. You mentioned the MVP conversation. Where do you have him? I mean, Tom Brady's been doing pretty well over there like he normally always does with the Patriots, and maybe another, you get I guess you could put maybe Ezekiel Elliott in that conversation, the way he's been doing things. You could put Dak Prescott in that conversation for the Cowboys. You could put a few few other guys in that combo. Where do you have the Matt Ryans?
Well, this is how I have it right now. Obviously, the way Tom Brady has been playing has been completely lights out, and most likely he's going to win the MVP if he continues this pace. But right now, if I take him out of it and just base it on what has gone on the entire season so far and give some extra credit for the players that played the first 4 games, I think it's down to 2 people right now. Yes, the guys in Dallas have done great, and that's been a great story, but I think they're more battling it out for Rookie of the Year, and it's because it's a 1-2 punch that I think it kind of takes them out of it. It comes down to 2 guys. One of them is Matt Ryan, who we saw on display today, and the other one is Derek Carr. What Derek Carr has been doing in Oakland has just been completely phenomenal. That defense, is still not great. We thought it was going to take a step up. It hasn't happened yet. They are 5-0 on the road, and a lot of it is because of him. And that's just kind of how it's shown, is he has taken a team that, we all thought was going to be a huge contender in the next 2-3 years, and they've made him a contender now. So right now it's Derek Carr, Matt Ryan, and most likely Tom Brady in those 3 for me.
Yeah, and let's to be fair to Atlanta, they are 4-1 on the road, and the only loss that they have on the road is to Oakland. So that one win that the Raiders have, I think the Raiders only have like a couple of wins, if not just one. The one win that the Raiders have at home is against Atlanta.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and definitely, I mean, other names to kind of think about as far as the MVP goes. Julio Jones is right up there. But I think he's behind him, Matt Ryan. AJ Green has been absolutely phenomenal as well. So, I mean, there's some other non-quarterbacks that are definitely in the mix. But to me, it's Carr, Ryan, Brady, and then everyone else.
That's fair. These guys have certainly, those 3 have been killing it. And I think for me, Derek Carr is number 1, and you get Matt Ryan right under him. I think you do look at who's played the whole season when it comes down to the end, unless Tom Brady just puts up ungodly numbers or the Patriots just do not lose a game or whatever. But I think you give the benefit of the doubt to a guy that hasn't been around as long as Brady, and he's doing this stuff here with the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
But before we move on from this game, I do want to mention that Jameis Winston does leave this game with an injury in a brutal hit late in the game as he was trying to convert a 2-point conversion. He says he's fine. We'll see how things go. Some extra days to rest, but that hit he took was one of the hardest ones I've seen this season. So hopefully he is okay. But he had a great game as well, throwing for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like I said, other than a couple fumbles, this was a very clean game. Just you can't stop Atlanta's offense right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that is worrisome for the Bucs because, Mike Glennon's okay, but, he's not Jameis Winston. It's going to affect the offense the way it runs. So, we'll have to see. Hopefully he is okay there. As Oakland is hoping that Aldon Smith is able to get reinstated, Richard Sherman has asked a question about why the league's TV ratings are down. That's been a big thing for the league so far this year, about TV ratings and why they aren't performing as well as they have been in past years. Obviously, for a long time and they still are. They still outdo almost everything else that exists on television. Let's be honest here. It's not like everything else is going up and the NFL is going down. Everything else is in that same tier of going down as well. But here is his response to this. He says, because the league isn't fun anymore, every other league you see the players have a good time. It's a game. This isn't politics. This isn't justice. This is entertainment. And they're no longer allowing the players to entertain. They're no longer allowing the players to show any kind of personality, any kind of uniqueness, any individuality, because they want to control the product. They want to control the messaging. They say that we're trying to influence kids, and that's their biggest thing. That's their biggest ploy. Is you don't want to be a bad influence to kids. You don't want to be a bad role model. And I can agree with that, but in the same breath, you can't say Budweiser is the official sponsor of the NFL, and we're trying to influence kids. There's a ton of hypocrisy, but it doesn't matter because we don't control it. And I mean, he later takes on talking about Goodell and everything, and he says that Goodell hasn't done a great job. It's obvious. For us to say he hasn't done a great job is beating a dead horse, honestly. And he talks about protecting quarterbacks. He says, no, I don't buy it, so that's public perception. They don't care about player safety. I've said that several times, but they do care about paying the quarterback $20 million and missing him a season. They do care about that. So lots to say, of course, Richard Sherman never one to shy away from saying what he feels. So what do you feel like is this thing with the ratings and all this? I mean, I think we do need to factor the Colin Kaepernick thing as well. That got beaten like a dead horse. And I was so tired of hearing about commentators give their thoughts on politics and the presidential race and whatever. It's like, I don't care about your politics thoughts. Just announce the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I think I speak for a lot of people that say that we are into sports as an escape. It's something to root for. It's something to kind of get lost in and just forget about the ridiculousness of this political junk and all of the other terrible things in the world, and just watch people play a game. And, and that's where the NFL has completely missed the mark is, yes, this Kaepernick thing took a life of its own. They tried to, hide it the best they could, but the TVs saw that these TV companies basically saw that they wanted to hide it and went, screw this. Every single national anthem now gets played on TV, not because, we want to be patriotic and show the national anthem all of a sudden. It's because we want to show who's kneeling or sitting or has their arm raised. It's more that the TV stations are hypocritical than the NFL in that sense. But as far as the ratings go and all of that, I think it's a combination of a few things. Obviously, the NFL will always have the higher ratings because they play once a week. That build up to Sunday is something that the NBA or MLB will never have because they play so many more games throughout the season. But I'm with Richard Sherman as far as them, taking all the fun out of it. I mean, what's something that you remember in NBA games? Those alley-oop dunks and then the way they celebrate after it, or they hit the three and they raise, three fingers and they play to the crowd and they have a good time. Baseball, they hit that home run and they stare at it a little bit and they do the bat flip, or, for anybody that watched Game 7, which was a ton of people between the Cubs and Indians, that was just the way the crowd reacted to stuff and how emotional and into it those players were. You don't see in the NFL, partially because they're in helmets and under masks that, you can't really see their emotion as much. And the other reason is they're not allowed to. I mean, how much better would it be to see a guy get this huge sack in a huge moment of the game, take his helmet off and root and, hold his helmet up high and as he's running off the field and the crowd goes ballistic? But the NFL doesn't do that. Yes, I understand that, touchdown celebrations got ridiculous. They got way over the top as far as T.O. and Chad Johnson using props. I get it. But let people celebrate. Let them have a good time. I don't even care if it's choreographed dances. I mean, the Dirty Bird for Atlanta in the late 90s, early 2000s was wonderful. I loved it. It got the crowd into it. They had a good time. It's crowd participation that I think the NFL is missing. And it's also just a lot of greed as far as everything. There's so many commercials now where you have a set of commercials, then you get the kickoff, and then you have another set of commercials. So people are channel flipping all the time, and that's why the Red Zone channel became such a big thing. Such a big thing that they pulled it separate of the Sunday Ticket now. You have to now purchase both. It's not just in the same package anymore. So it's one of those things where the NFL wants to be politically correct so much that they've completely taken the game out of the game. And I think players have noticed it, and the fans are starting to notice.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it on the head as far as a lot of the issues. I think you do need to let them celebrate. It's so annoying to see them, come up with celebrations and then, they're going to get a flag. It's like, okay, well, you just kind of made me feel like I don't need to get excited about this big play that I just did. And it's, what I don't understand either is just, you see it in so many others, like you just said baseball, but like, as somebody that watches soccer quite often, like every time they score a goal, what are they doing? They're just going crazy, flying all over the field, trying to show how excited they are. If one of them just had a baby, they do a thing about, they put the ball on their stomach and put their shirt over it to show that they just had a baby. I mean, it's just like it's funny stuff. It's harmless. I think you take it too big a deal as long as they're not taunting. Now that's where I have a problem.
Yes.
Like as long as they're not taunting and making fun of another player, then yeah, sure, whatever. And I'm fine with you want to make that a ejectable offense or whatever, but just celebrating with your teammates, like what's the big deal with that? Like that's so much fun, and you want to see them have fun. You want to see them get excited, and especially if it's your team and they just made this big comeback victory, and oh man, he just got to hand the ball off to the ref. They can't even mob each other because, oh my God, here comes the flag. It's just makes no sense. I think in college maybe it's like they do get out of hand a bit more, and being younger, it's kind of harder to, if you don't have that in place. Maybe you're also trying to get them ready for the NFL, so I guess that makes sense too. But and also the commercial thing is so annoying to me. I I will have something else on a lot of times, and I'll just start watching that because it's like, well, I know you're gonna go commercial. I know you're gonna go commercial. It's like, oh yeah, let's call it timeout. I know you're gonna go to like 3 commercials right now. It's a lot of advertising. I mean, this game is made perfectly for advertising. Let's be honest, but it's too much. It's too much
Yeah.
sometimes. Just ugh.
And listen, as a baseball fan, obviously one of the big knocks on baseball is the pace of play. People always say it just takes too long. It's spread out. And hell, Game 7 of the World Series took over, 4.5 hours. Yes, it had like a 20-minute rain delay in there, but it took over 4 hours. But it was the most compelling thing you had out there. In the NFL, most games are 3 hours, but it just feels like it's getting dragged out more and more where, usually I live on the West Coast, so I'm going to use West Coast times, but you have your 10 a.m. games and your 1 o'clock games, and it was always your 10 a.m. games would get done at like 12:30, and then you'd have that half hour before the afternoon games got going to go get whatever you needed to get done. Now, afternoon games usually you get 1 or 2 at that 1 o'clock time, and then you'll have a couple more at 1:30, and even the games at 1:30 are getting going before all of the morning games are going because everything's getting dragged out so much just for commercial time that it's starting to wear on people. And, and they're just going to change the channel and move on to different things. And if the game's not competitive, the ratings are going to go down because they're not going to sit through it anymore. And also, I really think because of the Sunday ticket and how, accessible these games are, I know most of my friends these days go to bars, and that's going to kill the ratings as, instead of all of their TV, they're all at home adding to the ratings. They're in one central location because they have 10 TVs and they can just watch all the games and have a good time. So in a way, as much as I do wish that they would have more fun, and I think that and all the political nonsense and the fact that it seems like, penalties seem to be way up this season.
Oh God,
which
every
is not
national TV game, I swear, it's like,
yeah, I mean,
let's
that's
have the
also
yellow come out.
that was adding to the pace of play. But on top of all of that, I do think that it's become such a a group event. So I don't think the popularity of the NFL is down, but obviously ratings are going to go down because ratings across the board go down as TV has basically changed for everybody.
And I think fantasy football with the red zone thing makes a difference too. I think it's if you care only about when they score a touchdown or whatever, well, just watch the red zone channel. And guess what? Nobody gets ratings except for the red zone channel. So,
And actually, I mean, it's not even just that, but the Red Zone channel is so great, and it shows what's wrong with the NFL because the Red Zone channel has like one commercial at halftime
yep.
when they go, okay,
It cuts
most of the
out all
games
the
are,
crap.
yeah, and it's just, okay, this game is going to break, we're going here, and it's just boom, 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 and it's just the way society is now. We don't deal with the breaks. We want action all the time.
Right. And there's so much other stuff on TV. It's really easy to go, oh, I haven't watched this show yet on my DVR. Okay. I'm going to turn this on for about 5 minutes while this thing's on commercial. And then sometimes you get stuck watching that show instead of watching the game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a multitude of things, but it is true. It's not a very fun league sometimes when you're watching it. Especially some of these weeks, the games have been horrible. Let's just be honest there too.
Well, and just this is on a smaller note, but it's something that's been driving me nuts. The NFL did a wonderful job this week, but last week, so you had the Thursday night game, you had the London game, and I love the London game. I mean, it's tough on the West Coast because it's 6:30 in the morning, and I usually don't get home from work on a Saturday night till 3 in the morning, so it's either give up on sleep or miss a bit of the London game or all of it. But I enjoy being able to get up that early and just have football all day. But this week, last week, you had 6 teams on bye. You take out the Thursday game, the Sunday night game, the Monday night game, and the London game, and all of a sudden you only had 2 games in the afternoon. I stopped caring. I mean, you had a good game with Green Bay and Atlanta, but it was tough to watch. You couldn't channel surf, so they got to spread these out better. This week it's better. You have 4 afternoon games at least to choose from. So, but I just wish they would even it out a lot more. I hate it when it was like 9 games in the morning and then 2 in the afternoon. Like, I understand that usually only the games on the West Coast get that 1 o'clock start time on the West Coast, but some of these East Coast teams can play a little bit later. It's fine.
Yep. Yeah, you're gonna hurt him on that. Well, so speaking of playing, let's get to these games that are happening here. Let's start in Cleveland, where the Dallas Cowboys travel, and what could be a trap game with, Tony Romo looming on the horizon as he takes 11-on-11 practice for the first time since his injury yesterday. And the Cleveland Browns are still winless. They get Jamie Collins from the Patriots. Don't know if he's going to play in this game, even though I'm sure playing linebacker won't take much for him to be put in a bunch of plays. Don't know if that's going to worry Dak Prescott or not, that this may be the last game he plays, whether he plays well or not. I'm going to pick the Cowboys just because this is one of those games you should win. You go on the road, you're supposed to win this kind of game. Doesn't matter if Cleveland's 0-8. Your job is to go in there and make them 0-9 and make sure that you get to that next game that's big against the Steelers, whether Big Ben is there or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, Dallas has their quarterback controversy looming, but Cleveland has their best at quarterback right now as well. They are still unsure, last I saw, of who's going to be playing, whether it's Josh McCown or Cody Kessler. So they're still a mess in that position. They do get Corey Coleman back, which is going to make their offense a lot more interesting. But they're just bad on defense. Once the Jets pulled their head out their butts, they completely destroyed the Cleveland defense. And Dallas has a much better offense than what the Jets have right now. And I think it's more dynamic. So, yes, it could be a trap game. And yes, Dak Prescott, as young as he is, could be overthinking all of the news stories. But you also have Ezekiel Elliott against a terrible front seven of Cleveland. Even after the trade, I think they have some work to do. Collins is not going to fix everything right off the bat. So I think Dallas pulls away and should dominate this game, to be honest. So I have the Cowboys here.
I am a little bit worried. Corey Coleman and Mo Claiborne being out, that's not good. But we go on to a NFC North matchup, the Detroit Lions visiting Minnesota, where they played a lot better this season than they have when they go on the road. Minnesota still offensive line woes here. I guess a Detroit Lions team that sometimes you just don't know what to expect from this team. You either get a Matthew Stafford who plays lights out and that offense is all kinds of clicking, or you get a Lions team that just gets really disrupted. And if there's a defense that's going to disrupt the Lions, I think it could be this one. These teams know each other well. It's probably going to be close. But I think being at home, I think Minnesota gets this one. It gets off the snide.
Yeah, Minnesota definitely happy to be home after 2 tough road losses against tough defenses. Detroit's defense is not as good. And I totally agree with Stafford, where 1 week he looks like one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, and then the next you're wondering how he even has a job anymore. They have improved this season based on the last couple, but I just don't think they match up that well against Minnesota. This is going to be a low-scoring, ugly affair, and I think that just falls right into the hands of the Vikings here. So I'm taking Minnesota at home.
Yeah, Sam Bradford, if he can avoid the mistakes. Detroit does have a decent secondary and a team that usually is able to come up with a huge play on the defensive side, and Bradford's kind of known for throwing those interceptions sometimes. So if he can keep it clean like it has been before those 2 road losses, I think they'll be all right. Just not having a running game really hurts them at this point. Kansas City at home against a Jacksonville Jaguars team that I just don't even know if I know who they are anymore. Kansas City without a question here, even without Alex Smith.
Yeah, and actually I don't think there's much difference between Alex Smith and Nick Foles as far as everyone else is concerned. I think a stronger arm in Nick Foles. I think he can get the ball farther down. You just have to worry about the mistakes. Also, Spencer Ware, questionable, still not through the concussion protocol, but Charkandrick West, is a great backup there. I'm with you. Jacksonville, I thought, was going to take a step forward. They took 5 steps back and have now finally taken a couple steps forward to get back to the junk time Jaguars they were last year. They're on the road at Arrowhead where Kansas City will dominate, and they're going to dominate here too. So the Chiefs for me too.
The New York Jets traveling to Miami at the Hard Rock to take on the Dolphins. The Dolphins have been playing much better as of late. The Jets won that one in Cleveland. This is a weird game because normally the Jets play really well against the Dolphins. Ryan Tannehill is who he is. And Miami's defense has actually been looking a lot better lately as well, too. This is a tough one. I think I'm going to take the Jets going on the road and beat Miami here, though.
Yeah, Jets swept the series last year and really dominated in both of those games. Brandon Marshall just caused all sorts of fits against Miami. I know Miami has improved this year on defense, and the Jets have really struggled since Eric Decker got hurt. It's nowhere near the same team. We'll see kind of if, they can, which Jets team is going to show up, the team in the first half against the Browns or the team in the second half. I would like to see it's more of the second half and they're starting to get things going. But Miami is off a bye, and they're at home. Jarvis Landry should have a field day against that secondary. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to be a homer and take the Jets as well. But it would not be surprised to see the Dolphins basically end the Jets season with a 10-point victory either.
Yeah, me neither. It's just you kind of never know what Dolphins team you're going to get when they show up. This is going to be a really interesting game, because this could set a lot of things in motion as to who is going to be a team to watch out for when it comes to that NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles traveling to New Jersey to take on those New York Giants. Honestly, 50-50 doesn't cut it with these two teams. It's always close. It's a team that's going to give Eli Manning problems because Philadelphia's defense is no joke. I don't know what to think of the Giants sometimes because their defensive line is supposed to be great, and they're terrible. They can't even get, 30th or something in sacks? So this is going to be one of those games. Give me the experience of Eli and Odell Beckham and that offense over Philadelphia's defense in this one. I'm pulling hairs here.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very fun game to watch. This is probably going to be one of those games I watch mostly in the early set of games, especially if the Jets completely fall apart. But speaking of falling apart, this whole offense for the Giants have kind of fallen off compared to what I really thought they were going to do this year. We will see if the bye week fixes any of their issues, if they can start getting Sterling Shepard going. Mike Mitchell on the Fantasy Podcast had a wonderful note where he wonders if the Giants are struggling because Odell Beckham Jr. is asking for the ball so much, and maybe Eli kind of has tunnel vision at times, which is surprising with all of the weapons they have in New York. So we'll see if that kind of fixes itself. Neither team really has much of a running game here, so I'm going to take the experience as well. I'm going to take the team at home on a bye. Give me the Giants.
Then we get one of the toughest and most grueling sometimes divisional matchups. The Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Landry Jones at quarterback against Joe Flacco here. This is one of those could be really ugly. Like it could be like a 15-12 game, something like that. But the Ravens being at home and it not being Big Ben at quarterback, I think I'm going to go with the Ravens.
But see, that's where I have to correct you. Big Ben did practice on Thursday and is being said to be set to return in this game.
He doesn't always play well against the Ravens either. So.
That's also true. I'm not saying it's going to be great, but it does look like Big Ben will return here instead of Landry Jones, which gives Pittsburgh a better chance. This is going to be a hard-hitting game. You know that they're going to try to protect Roethlisberger if he does play. A lot of shorter passes, a lot of Le'Veon Bell in a hard-hitting matchup. I'm going to go Pittsburgh here just for the fact of Big Ben returning and maybe a couple extra big plays down the field. Baltimore did not impress me when I watched them in full when they played against the Jets. So I'm going to take the Steelers on the road in a very physical matchup.
Moving on to the 4 o'clock Eastern games, you got Carolina coming off a win against Los Angeles Rams. I got to go Carolina here. I think they're more back to themselves. I think Los Angeles is kind of going into this free fall, especially if they're going to decide to wait on Jared Goff. The longer they wait, I think the Rams are going to keep going down here. And Carolina wants to kind of get back on that winning path. I think this Los Angeles defense is still tough. I mean, obviously, that's not a defense you really want to be playing if you're Cam Newton, but I just trust Cam a heck of a lot more than I trust anything with Case Keenum.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Carolina figured something out on their bye week as they came out and ran the ball a lot more. Yes, the Rams defense is difficult, but that balanced offense is very tough to beat. Also, Cam Newton going to talk to Roger Goodell about the penalties. Look for more penalties to be called on Cam Newton in this game, just because that's how things work. He's definitely got the eyes of the referees now on him. But I'm with you. The Rams are just kind of stalled out on offense with Case Keenum out there. I do hope they wait a couple more weeks, though, because the Rams do play the Jets next week, and I would rather play Keenum than wait to see what this rookie Goff can do. I like Carolina in this game to continue their road back to, playoff contention.
The New Orleans Saints also in the 405 slot against San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Saints usually do not play very well when they go on the road. But this is San Francisco 49ers who we're talking about. I don't even know who the hell's going to... I'm guessing Kaepernick's still the quarterback here.
Yes.
Yeah, that just leads me to think the Saints are winning this. Drew Brees is going to pass all over that defense. It's probably going to be close because this is the Saints we're talking about. Their defense is pretty bad too, but I got more faith in the Saints here.
Yeah, I have New Orleans here as well. I do think this is a higher scoring game as the Saints it's going to be kind of what Atlanta did to Tampa Bay, where, San Francisco might keep it interesting, but it's not because they were ever able to stop the Saints offense. Kaepernick, however, very interesting against a terrible, I was trying to think of a nicer word. It's not happening. A terrible Saints defense. Fantasy-wise, with 6 teams on a bye, I said it on the fantasy podcast. If you're looking for a quarterback, Kaepernick's not that bad of an option. So I'm taking the Saints here. But I do think the 49ers are going to put up points and keep it interesting.
Then you get the Green Bay Packers against the Indianapolis Colts in one of 2 CBS 425 games here. The Packers at home at Lambeau. This is probably going to be close because it's Andrew Luck and he's going to put up points for those Colts. But the Packers should win, and I think they need to win this game. You don't want to let the Colts come in here and beat you at home when you're 4-3 and needing to rack up some wins.
Yeah, the Colts have had trouble finding ways to win these big kind of games. And Green Bay looks to be getting a little bit more healthy. It does look like Ty Montgomery's going to return. It looks like Randall Cobb has a good chance to return. And James Starks, out of nowhere, limited in his return in practice on Thursday, him and Jared Cook as well. So if those two don't return this week, they're only a week or 2 away, and it looks like the Packers will basically be back at full strength. I think the key here is the Packers' run defense is better than I think a lot of people give them credit for, which will make it tough on Frank Gore and make the Colts more one-dimensional. And I think this is a shootout. I think it's the first one to 35 wins. But I'm definitely taking Aaron Rodgers here, so give me the Packers.
And you get Tennessee, the Tennessee Titans, going into San Diego to face the Chargers. The Chargers at home. This could easily be a shootout, or it could be an ugly game, depending on what you're getting. But I have a little bit more. I know the Titans like to put up points, and I know you got DeMarco Murray running and everything else. Seems like Marcus Mariota kind of figured things out. But when it comes to being at home, I have a little bit more faith in the Chargers to make sure they put up those points. Melvin Gordon has been playing really well. I'm going to go with the Chargers here.
Yeah, San Diego continues to impress me. They kept it close with Denver. All of their losses this season have been within 1 score. They do play better at home, as you said. So I'm going to go with the Chargers to keep themselves relevant here over a tough Tennessee team, which I agree with you. I think it's going to be a shootout.
Sunday Night Football, a big AFC West matchup that's going to decide who goes in first here with the Denver Broncos and the Oakland Raiders. It's in Oakland, so I think we already know what's happening. No, look, I think this is going to be a really close game. Derek Carr's been playing great, but this is the Denver Broncos defense we're talking about here. I'm going to go with Denver just because I feel like when it's going to come in crunch time, I have a lot more faith in the Broncos defense to make a big play that could decide the game. And again, it does factor in. The Raiders don't play that good in Oakland.
No, not at all. And you just look back to a couple weeks ago when they hosted Kansas City, and Kansas City dominated that game 26-10. That score seems like about what I'm going to be expecting Sunday night. Derek Carr, if you want to stay in that MVP race, prove us wrong. Show that you can do it against a very tough Denver defense at home. I just don't see it. I think Simeon makes enough plays here to give Denver the win and give them first place in the division.
And then we go into Monday Night Football. It's the Buffalo Bills going into Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Is LaShawn McCoy healthy again?
It's the last I heard, it was still up in the air. He's still unsure himself. I'm going to say no. I don't think he's going to play.
I think even with Gillislee, the Seahawks defense is going to kind of tie up Tyrod Taylor It's going to make it difficult for them to get a whole lot going. That Seahawks offense hasn't been the best, but I think they'll do enough to beat the Bills here.
Yeah, and looking more at the Bills' schedule really quick, they are on bye after this, so I would expect LaShawn McCoy not to play this week and then get the extra week of rest on the bye before returning against Cincinnati. But, you asked the question earlier in the podcast, why are ratings down? Watch Monday Night Football and then tell me why the ratings are down. This is going to be the ugliest game of two teams. Two defense. I mean, listen. I was even a fan of the 6-6 tie between the Cardinals and Seahawks, and the people I know said that was an ugly game. That was a great defensive matchup. This is going to be an ugly game. There's going to be some defense involved, but there are going to be some awful plays here as Russell Wilson continues to not look like the old Russell Wilson, as he is still trying to mend himself from injuries. He's still not 100% in sync with Jimmy Graham. They've had their flashes, but we saw last week where he ignored him in big situations and continued to try to go down the field in plays that it wasn't working. Buffalo has always been that big play or bust team when Sean McCoy is not on the field. I don't see Gillislee being able to do anything against this Seattle defense. I'm going to take Seattle here at home. I would also take me not watching half of this game.
There you go. And that's going to do it for us picking games here, and it's going to do it for our show on this one. So we'll be back on that Tuesday morning to recap the games and also just kind of give a look ahead and then see how those teams are doing after you get through Week 9. And until then, everybody enjoy your weekends, enjoy the games. Remember that daylight savings ends, and you got to turn your clock back an hour, so you get an extra hour of rest on Sunday at 2 a.m.
Unless you're a parent, then you get nothing.
Yeah, then you get nothing, exactly. But all right, see you later, everybody.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.